Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I am your podcast host here at Action Coach in Central Texas. And today on the show, I have Ruben Cortez, CEO and founder of Frozen Logistics. We're going to be talking to Ruben about his business, his journey to business ownership, and some challenges he may have faced along the way. And we're going to give you a sneak peek to what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this one. Well, welcome, Ruben. It is so nice to meet you. Thanks for being on the show today.
Well, thank you, Kane. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Thank you, Ruben. Well, share a little bit about your business and a little bit about yourself as well.
So, Frozen Logistics is a cold storage supplier facility here in the greater Austin area. And my background is in technology as a technologist in the video game industry. I spent over 20 years making video games, both here in Texas and in California, in Silicon Valley. And so, as a technologist, I still that's the main reason why I created Frozen Logistics to create some technology. And so, while we have a brick and mortar business that is present here in the greater Austin area, we recently launched a marketplace called deliveredcold.com, where we bring together sellers of frozen foods with online consumers that want to purchase these products from these artisan creators, whether it be a regenerative farmer out of California or anywhere in the country, or some specialized CPG products that's being built here local in Austin. We extend the reach to consumers to them nationwide. And so Frozen Logistics is both a physical brick and mortar supplier of cold storage technology to local producers and nationwide companies, and even we have some international customers as well. And then this technology twist called deliveredcold.com is our foray into direct to consumer e-commerce and fulfillment of something that's quite challenging to do, is to get frozen product directly to consumer anywhere in the lower 48 within 1 to 3 days. And that's the business that we're in.
That is incredible. Especially, I can't even imagine, what it takes to ship like perishable goods, frozen goods for that matter. So, yeah, dive in a little deeper on that. I'd like to learn more about how do you get that to function? What's your secret sauce?
Yeah, it's been a journey, and from the very beginning, we formed a company in February of 2020, and we spent almost 2 years in stealth mode building a platform. Like, I wanted to build something, this was right in the middle of COVID. So of course, COVID did two things for us. One is it impacted the supply chain for just real estate construction as we're building this facility in 2020, 21, 22. Massive impact to the construction schedule. But the flip side of it is we had a massive demand for producers of these products wanting to get their product direct to consumer. So we had pressure on both sides, this delay in schedule. We were in a legacy building out in Taylor, Texas, and then we were building a new building, which was being delayed. And then we had a large inbound of customers coming in asking us to fulfill frozen product direct to consumer, which is very difficult to do. Our
Mm.
original thought on the business model was actually doing something more B2B, and we may still do some of that in the future. But it became apparent to us that there was quite a demand for getting a frozen product direct to consumer. Very difficult to do, very costly. Obviously, there's an environmental concern with that as well from a material perspective, and so we wanted to be responsible with that aspect as well. And our solution was, well, if you dissect what it takes to get a frozen product from our warehouse here in Austin to a consumer that's in Los Angeles or in Chicago or in North Carolina, there's a few pieces that have to come together to make that possible, even just for us to get it out the door.
Mhm.
And so what we did is we began to look at all those pieces and decided on which ones we could bring in-house and which ones we couldn't. And the ones that we could bring in-house are things that are very critical to how that box is built, which includes obviously the packaging material, but the refrigerant as well. And in most cases with frozen food, you use dry ice, and buying dry ice from a third party, very complicated. it's very expensive. It's also, kind of shaky on the supply source. So we decided years ago to produce our own dry ice. So, for example, I can produce dry ice about 20 feet away from where our packers are packing the boxes full of frozen food. And this collapse of that complicated supply chain into what we call a fully vertically integrated supply chain into this marketplace helped us really lower the cost on a per unit basis that we could then approach these sellers, and they like the solution we provide because we remove them having to go out and buy it themselves, right? So if I said, well, you have to go do this yourself, and we're going to just do it as a 3PL, as a third party logistics provider, they have to manage a lot of that logistics complexity themselves. So we remove that from them as a feature add in our sales pitch to these sellers, and many of them really appreciate that because they just want to make their food, right. I want to
Mhm.
produce this product. I want to raise this responsible, regenerative, grass-fed, grass-finished cattle. I want to raise pasture-fed, chickens, and it's like, well, you focus on that because we need you to focus on that. Make it really, really good product. We'll focus on all the complexity on the logistics side, and then what makes it a unique twist is that frozen logistics or delivered cold is the merchant of record. And so the transaction between the consumer and the business happens with us. And we then, provide payment to the seller that's producing the product. And the seller, what they focus on is making a great product, of course, and then socializing their storefront on our marketplace. And so putting that all together took, a few years of working through these complex logistical supply chains, building the technology that would support such an infrastructure, and now you can go and visit it today. We're up to 34 sellers on our marketplace. We think we'd be maybe at 55 before the end of the year, and each one gets their own unique storefront, and you get to shop that seller's product, and then we will let you obviously buy other people's product. We put it all in the same box, and we're one of the few in the country that can actually do that. And you, the consumer, get this box delivered to your front door, and it's packed professionally. It's frozen solid. I think one of the silly complaints that I get from my friends who order online is that my steak was super cold and super solid, and that's exactly what we want to happen. Is that we want your food to arrive frozen, and we have such a variety of sellers on our marketplace that I think the consumer gets they're a good bang for the buck. And the fact that I can put more than one seller's product in a box means that we lower the environmental impact because I can maximize the efficiency of the box and not have to send two or three if you're buying from two or three different sellers. And so yeah, that's what we focus on, and I appreciate you asking that question because I love talking about it and sharing with people, our creativity and our tolerance for trying to solve a complex problem.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that like glimpse of your business. It sounds extremely cool, and I absolutely love the work you're doing.
No pun
Um,
intended. It's very, very cold.
it's very cold. Well, looking at you, you've got some operations going on. You've got some online and brick and mortar. How do you keep it all running? How many employees do you have?
So we're about 25 employees, and we have three external contractors, and two of them are actually in Europe, but they work full time for us just as international contractors.
Mhm.
And we're a very lean ship, and many of us wear multiple hats. And so I wear the CEO hat, the CFO hat, the CTO hat, the chief product officer hat, and my partner Wesley O'Brien wears multiple hats as well. He's our chief logistics officer, and he handles all our sales and a lot of the daily operations inside our facility. So we're pretty lean. However, we're a bit bigger than you would normally be because we have this new venture that we're playing in, and it requires a few extra heads. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, you brought up the next question I was going to ask is what does your day to day look like? Are you
Yeah.
working mostly in the business, on the business, a little bit of both?
Yeah, no, it's a little bit of both. I do work a little bit in the business because like I said, the CFO hat requires me to do things day to day. And we get into a routine with administration tasks that make it more efficient for me. And being a technologist, I can do 100% of my CFO duties from my phone. And so, payroll and, paying vendors and so forth, I can do it from my phone. I spend a majority of my time working on the business. We have an active funding round that's open right now. So I have investor calls that I deal with throughout the week. And so some presentation updates, even though the deck is pretty polished, the message is pretty polished. And so working on the business is me, lining up financing for the next phase of our growth strategy, which is to really bring value to the Deliver Cold trademark and marketing presence online and begin to drive sales. So as we enter this next growth phase, my focus as a CEO and founder is to really push the growth of the company through solid acquisition of capital and then strategically aligning it where I needed to align and growing the team the way any company in our stage would grow. And then the third thing I do, and I say I work in the business, I work on the business, but I never shut off from the business. So I think about strategy and product development for the next phase and what could we tweak here and there. And that takes up my time, throughout the time where I'm not working on the business, usually on the weekends and in the evenings. And I'm a little bit aloof sometimes from my wife and kids, but they understand that daddy is somewhat obsessed.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that about your day to day and kind of like diving into your clients, like learning about your clients. Like, how would I know I would be a good fit? Like if I walked into your doors, how would I know I'd be a good fit for you, for your business?
So if you're a seller and you have tried to sell frozen product online, you would be very excited about what we offer. And we get a lot of inbound requests from producers of frozen food for the traditional supply chain functionality of cold storage, right? Can you store my food in a freezer? Can you pull it? Can you pack it? And then once they see the complexity involved in that, they tend to really gravitate towards this Deliver Cold marketplace that we've created because they immediately see that we've simplified a lot of the logistical headaches for them. On the consumer side, when you're an e-commerce site and you're online, you have access to almost 290 million shoppers in America alone. The complexity is navigating the messaging, properly online, through social media, through paid ads, through your earned, promotions and so forth, to try to get and find that right consumer. So the sellers understand our pitch fairly quickly and fairly easily. And consumers, of course, as they have so many options for buying stuff online, when they figure out that we actually sell a box with mixed frozen product in it, they get excited. And so, I think our core messaging is, when you have a marketplace, you have sellers and buyers. And it's hard to get both at the same time because buyers want sellers and sellers want buyers. And we focus on the seller side. And a lot of the food that we sell is already in our facility, makes it very easy for us to push a button and make it for sale online. And those types of clients or customers or sellers, as we call them, it's a B2B message that resonates really well because they understand just how complicated it is to do it themselves.
Definitely. You're solving a big pain point for them with what you're doing.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes.
So I'd like to dive into, you touched a little bit on your marketing pursuits. What are some of the things you're doing to market to your customers and clients that have been successful?
So let's focus on the consumer side because that's the tricky part. And from the very beginning, we wanted to create an ecosystem of sellers where we could take advantage of the network effects that come from multiple people bringing their customers to our marketplace. And by that, I mean that, of the 62 or 65 sellers that we have that are onboarded or in our pipeline, in aggregate, they have almost 1.5 million followers on social media. And so they end up, some of the smaller ones end up benefiting from some of the bigger ones, but some of the smaller ones bring followers that are more committed to the brand and buying things directly. And so there's a natural, organic network effect that happens when you know, I have 30 sellers or 40 sellers online uh, communicating a message to their audiences that resonate with who their fans are, and then when those fans come to our marketplace, they can not only shop for that seller's product, but also get to see a variety of other products. So that the network effect is something that we wanted to take advantage of, and we do, and it's working really well. And then secondly, of course, we have the ability to promote products through either paid ad or through other types of promotions where we can create contests and so forth. But one of the things that we like to do is these sellers are motivated to tell their audiences about where to come and buy their product. And we have some sellers now that use us exclusively as their online storefront, and then we incentivize them through gift cards and affiliate links and promotional discounts to evangelize for us, uh, you know, to their audiences to bring these buyers to us and make these purchases. And so the marketing effect on the consumer side is quite creative, and I definitely enjoy that. I would say I'm the expert on it, but I definitely believe that the network effect for what we're doing can be quite powerful, and it compounds every time we add another seller. On the seller side, marketing tends to be pretty direct in the sense that we have a direct outreach program that we do via LinkedIn, via contacting people based on their social media presences and finding the person in charge of making these types of decisions, and then marketing directly to them one-on-one. I really like the one-on-one kind of touch and feel of communicating with these sellers directly versus just spraying a bunch of spam email. And so I direct our team to make effort to reach out one-to-one. I answer sales calls when they're more one-to-one focused than when I know I'm just part of a big email blast. And so we want to curate our messaging for our sellers to make them feel special, because on our marketplace they are special, and we want to promote their brands. We want them to be the focal point of the marketplace. And so that messaging is a bit simpler and a bit more different approach than when we're actually talking directly to our consumers.
Oh, definitely. Well, it sounds like you're kind of creating more like a community within, the sellers and the buyers within your company. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd like to kind of take it back and learn a little bit more about you. What inspired you to, whether you were in a 9 to 5 or always knew you were entrepreneurial, like what inspired you to go down that entrepreneurial journey and work for, build something for yourself as opposed to working for somebody else? And what was that like for you?
So my journey, I mean, I think I've always been entrepreneurial. Maybe early on, I was a bit of a chicken, and the biggest thing when people ask me about being an entrepreneur, and what do you need to have, and perseverance, resourcefulness, courage, all these things come to play. This is what I teach my children, and but I worked in the game industry, as I mentioned earlier, for many years, since 1995 until almost 2017. But that sharpened my technology skills. It sharpened my global management skills, my ability to solve really complex logistical problems on a global scale, trying to solve how do we technically solve for 1 million gamers coming on and wanting to play this game. And so these problems that I was um, solving day to day in my and I hesitate to say 9 to 5, because as an executive in the game industry, there's no such thing I think as a 9 to 5. You're pretty sucked in, and you're working a lot of hours. But it all started in 2004 when I was single, living in Silicon Valley, and my employer was throwing a lot of money at me, and I learned that I really, really sucked at investing in stocks, and so I moved my investment strategy away from stocks and into real estate, and made lots of mistakes and learned a lot throughout the years. But originally, as a real estate investor on the residential side, and then I bought my first commercial building in 2006, actually here in Round Rock. And then about 2008, I decided to become a developer. And if you remember, 2008 was probably not the best time to become a real estate developer. But I had two projects going on here in Texas when the market crashed, and so working through that from '08 through 2011 really sharpened my resiliency on the real estate side, and I began to build commercial industrial parks here in Round Rock around 2012, 2013, and always knowing that I was still wanting to do technology, and I'm still working a full-time job with electronic arts, and doing this on the side, but it was just sort of a night job for me. So my day job was in making video games. My night job was in these real estate projects, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, they're multiple million dollar projects going on, and still doing it as a night job. But in 2017, 2018, when I left the game industry for good, I began to look at, well, what can I do with the technology twist? And then in 2019, I began to look at cold storage, and in 2020, made the decision to found a cold storage company, knowing I wanted to build a cold storage facility utilizing my real estate background. But I'm a nerd, and I need to build some technology, and I need to figure out what can we do. And so those two things were married together at that time. My desire to build these commercial buildings, cold storage facilities, and then build something, right? What is this platform that I want to build? I knew it wanted to be a platform, and like I said, at first it may have been B2B, but after 20 years now of being a real estate investor and making money, losing money, making money, losing money, just you sharpen your skill, and you focus it, and I knew that I wanted to focus it on one or two things, and then bring in my technology background into it as well, and my ability to resource a lot of developers from around the world to build something that at the very beginning we didn't really know what it was going to be, but as time goes on, you begin to twist and turn, and you turn this knob this way, and you put this there, and you talk to this person, they don't like what you're doing, oh, this person loves what you're doing, and you begin to test all this stuff, and bringing those two sides together is what resulted in deliveredcold.com, and the feedback has been great, and so that is now our main focus. And yeah, we have lots of things that we want to do to it as well to make it even more powerful. And this funding round, I think, will help us get to that next level, that next phase. And then we have a few tricks up our sleeves as well, some new technology that we want to build as well.
Oh, wonderful, Ruben. Well, this has been such a fun episode full of great nuggets. So I encourage anybody watching or listening to this, take a few passes through this because you're going to pull some great wisdom. And so, Ruben, we're kind of getting into a fun part of the podcast called our rapid fire section. And I'd love to ask you some rapid fire questions where you answer top of mind, first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Sure.
All right. The first question is, what is the key to success for you?
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
It's hard. It's very difficult. And I would coach any entrepreneur or anyone who wants to be in this field. You have to be able to persevere through difficult times.
Definitely. And what is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Learn from your mistakes very quickly, and we don't learn a lot when, like I tell my kids, I say, you don't learn a lot when you make money. You learn a lot when you lose money, and so you learn a lot when you make mistakes. And if you want to learn faster, make your mistakes faster, and the resiliency and the perseverance that you need, and the courage you need, will help you understand that these mistakes are only making you better and sharper, and don't give up because you've made a mistake. Don't kill yourself because you made a mistake. Don't be hard on yourself, but learn from it rapidly and keep moving forward.
That's great advice. Third question is, what is a book or any piece of content that you've taken in most recently?
Oh, it's a great one. I do read quite a bit, and I think I 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel comes to mind. Range comes to mind. The From Good to Great is also a great book as well. And I my philosophy is I read books that sometimes I don't gain a lot out of, but if I can come away with one nugget of information, I really think that it was worth the small price that you pay, whether it's $15, $25, even to get one thing that you can bring from those books. Great. As a real estate investor, obviously Rich Dad Poor Dad series, I have my kids read them, and those are great for just some foundational stuff on investment and how to
Mhm.
manage money. But yeah, there's I definitely encourage people to look at these books and read them and try to get some nugget out of them, and then go on to the next one.
Definitely. And our final rapid fire question is if you had to choose only one area of your business that you could rapidly change overnight, what would it be?
Wow. Well, I'd love to have 1 million customers, of course, but I think the yeah, on the technology side, on the back end, there's so much that I want to do, and it just takes a long time and very complicated, and it's fairly costly. I think what I would do is I definitely would make it even easier for our sellers to get product into our warehouse, whether we're helping them manage transportation and other logistical headaches that they have to deal with before they even get to our warehouses. And so I think that would be one place where I thought, man, if I could wave a magic wand and just have it done, I would make it even easier for them to get their product to us so that we could sell it online faster.
That's a really good one. Well, thank you for answering that. And for before we get to our final question, how can folks find you online?
So deliveredcold.com is our storefront. Obviously, Frozen Logistics is the business side, and we're on social media on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we're beginning to build that community up faster. But if you visit deliveredcold.com, I created a special 20% discount code called Spotlight 24 just for your audiences. And it's good through the end of the year, and you get 20% off any order that you do online. And yeah, feel free to shoot me a message saying you made a purchase, and we'll give you some VIP treatment and add in a few products as well for free.
Oh my goodness. Well, count me in. That sounds amazing.
Yes, we have a
Thank you.
wonderful assortment of ice cream that people love to get as free samples, and I do that for my friends. But if you use that code, it tells me you're a VIP, and we'll treat you special.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And that is such a great little treat for the listeners, too. So thank you, Ruben. Now we have our final question of the day, Ruben. What is most inspiring to you today?
I think what's most inspiring for me today is that, in a complicated world, there's still some pretty simple solutions, simple problem. I'm sorry, there's still some solutions that need to be made for some complicated problems that don't take a tremendous amount of money, but do take a tremendous amount of courage. And I'm encouraged by people who want to get into business and into entrepreneurship, because we all benefit when someone creative and makes extraordinary effort to do even just a little bit of change to make our lives a little bit better. So I'm encouraged daily by the creativity that we see online, what we see in the brick and mortar space. And I think that as an entrepreneur, you have to be extraordinarily optimistic, and I am. And so I have good confidence that with technology and with passion and with great environmental care, we can create some things that are quite attractive and benefit not only our society but even other countries as well. And that encourages me every day to get up and try to solve some of these difficult problems.
Wow. Well, that is so encouraging to me and definitely to our listeners. And thank you so much again. Again, guys, like and subscribe to get episodes like this. We love to share stories like Ruben's with you to inspire you on your journey, whether you're an entrepreneur or a customer. This is a way to connect with folks like Ruben. So thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Ruben, for your time today.
Thank you, Kay, for having me, and I really enjoyed it.